the Mahabharata of Krishna-Dwaipayana Vyasa. Translated into English prose from the original Sanskrit text by Pratap Chandra Roy C.I.E. This free ebook has been downloaded from holybooks.com. Bhishma Parva. Section 121, Bhishma Parva continued. Dhritarashtra said, "Alas, what was the state of my warriors, O Sanjaya, when they were deprived of the mighty and godlike Bhishma, who had become a brahmacharin for the sake of his reverend sire? Even then I regarded the Kurus and all the others as slain by the Pandavas when Bhishma, despising the son of Drupada, struck him not. Wretch that I am also, I hear today of my sire's slaughter. What can be a heavier sorrow than this? My heart assuredly, O Sanjaya, is made of adamant, since it breaked not into 100 fragments on hearing of Bhishma's death. Tell me, O thou of excellent woes, what was done by that lion among the Kurus, viz., the victory desiring Bhishma when he was slain in battle. I cannot at all brook it that Devavrata should be slain in battle. Alas, he that was not slain by Jamdagni's son himself in days of old by means of even his celestial weapons, alas, he hath now been slain by Drupada's son Sikhundin, the prince of Panchala." Sanjaya said, "Slain in the evening, the Kuru grandsire Bhishma saddened the Dhritarashtras and delighted the Panchalas. Falling down on the earth, he lay on his bed of arrows without however touching the earth with his body. Indeed, when Bhishma, thrown down from his car, fell upon the surface of the earth, cries of 'Oh and alas!' were heard among all creatures. When that boundary tree of the Kurus, viz., the ever victorious Bhishma, fell down, fear entered the heart-soaking of the Kshatriyas of both the armies. Beholding Bhishma the son of Santanu, with his standard overthrown and his armor cut open, both the Kurus and the Pandavas were inspired, O monarch, with sentiments of cheerlessness. And the welkin was enveloped with a gloom and the sun himself became dim. The earth seemed to utter loud shrieks when the son of Santanu was slain. This one is the foremost of those conversant with the Veds. This one is the best of those that are conversant with the Veds. Even thus did creatures speak of that bull among men as he lay on his bed of arrows. This one, formerly ascertaining his sire Santanu to be afflicted by Karna, this bull among men resolved to draw up his vital seed. Even thus did the Rishis together with the Siddhas and the Charanas said of that foremost one of the Bharatas as he lay on his bed of arrows. When Santanu's son Bhishma, the grandsire of the Bharatas, was slain, thy sons, O sire, knew not what to do. Their faces wore an expression of grief. The splendor of their countenances seemed to abandon them, O Bharata. All of them stood in shame, hanging down their heads. The Pandavas, on the other hand, having won the victory, stood at the head of their ranks. And they all blew their large conches decked with gold. And when in consequence of their joys thousands of trumpets, O sinless one, were blown there, we beheld, O monarch, the mighty Bhimasena, the son of Kunti, sporting in great glee, having quickly slain many hostile warriors endued with great strength. And a great swoon overtook all the Kurus. And Karna and Duryodhana repeatedly drew long breaths. When the Kuru grandsire Bhishma fell down thus, cries of sorrow were heard all round and the greatest confusion prevailed among the Kuru army. Beholding Bhishma fallen, thy son Dusasana, with great speed entered the division commanded by Drona. That hero, clad in mail and at the head of his own troops, had been placed by his elder brother for the protection of Bhishma. That tiger among men now came, plunging the troops he had commanded into grief. Beholding him coming towards them, the Kauravas surrounded Prince Dusasana, desirous, O monarch, of hearing what he had to say. Then Dusasana of Kuru's race informed Drona of Bhishma's slaughter. Drona then, hearing those evil things, suddenly fell down from his car. Then the valiant son of Bharadvaja, quickly recovering his senses, forbade the Kuru army, "Sire, to continue the fight." Beholding the Kurus desist from battle, the Pandavas also, through messengers on fleet horses, forbade their orders, ceased to fight. The kings of both armies, putting off their armor, all repaired to Bhishma. Desisting from the fight, thousands of other warriors then proceeded towards the high-souled Bhishma like the celestials towards the Lord of all creatures. Approaching Bhishma, who was the noble of Bharata's race, lying on his bed of arrows, the Pandavas and the Kurus stood there, having offered him their salutations. Then Santanu's son Bhishma of righteous soul addressed the Pandavas and the Kurus, who having reverenced him thus stood before him. And he said, "Welcome to you, ye highly blessed ones. Welcome to you, ye mighty warriors. Gratified am I with your sight, ye that are the equals of the very gods." Thus addressing them with his head hanging down, he once more said, "My head is hanging down greatly. Let a pillow be given to me." The kings standing there then fetched many excellent pillows that were very soft and made of very delicate fabrics. The grandsire, however, desired them not. That tiger among men then said unto those kings with a laugh, "These, ye kings, do not become a hero's bed." Beholding then that foremost of men, that mightiest of warriors in all the worlds, viz., the mighty armed Dhananjaya the son of Pandu, Bhishma said, "O Dhananjaya, O thou of mighty arms, my head hangeth down, O sire. Give me a pillow such as thou regardest to be fit." Thus ends the 121st section in the Bhishma Parva of the Bhishma Parva. Section 122, Bhishma Parva continued. Sanjaya said, stringing then his large bow and reverentially saluting the grandsire, Arjuna with eyes filled with tears said these words, "O foremost one among the Kurus, O thou that art the first among all wielders of weapons, command me, O invincible one, for I am thy slave. What shall I do, O grandsire?" Unto him Santanu's son said, "My head, O sire, hangeth down. O foremost one among the Kurus, O Falguni, get me a pillow. Indeed, give me one without delay, O hero, that would become my bed. Thou, O Partha, art competent, thou art the foremost of all wielders of bows. Thou art conversant with the duties of Kshatriyas, and thou art endued with intelligence and goodness." Then Falguni, saying, "So be it," desired to do Bhishma's bidding. Taking up Gandiva and a number of straight shafts and inspiring them with mantras, and obtaining the permission of that illustrious and mighty warrior of Bharata's race, Arjuna then, with 3 keen shafts endued with great force, supported Bhishma's head. Then that chief of the Bharatas, viz., Bhishma of virtuous soul, conversant with the truths of religion, seeing that Arjuna, having divined his thought, had achieved that feat, became highly gratified. And after that pillow had thus been given to him, he applauded Dhananjaya. And casting his eyes upon all the Bharatas there, he addressed Kunti's son Arjuna, that foremost of all warriors, that enhancer of the joys of his friends, and said, "Thou hast given me, O son of Pandu, a pillow that becometh my bed. If thou hadst acted otherwise, I would have cursed thee from wrath. Even thus, O mighty armed one, should a Kshatriya observant of his duties sleep on the field of battle on his bed of arrows." Having addressed Vibhatsu thus, he then said unto all those kings and princes that were present there these words, "Behold ye the pillow that the son of Pandu hath given me. I will sleep on this bed till the sun turneth to the northern solstice. Those kings that will then come to me will behold me yield up my life. When the sun on his car of great speed, and unto which are yoked 7 steeds, will proceed towards the direction occupied by Vaisravana, verily even then will I yield up my life like a dear friend dismissing a dear friend. Let a ditch be dug here around my quarters, ye kings. Thus pierced with hundreds of arrows will I pay my adorations to the sun. As regards yourselves, abandoning enmity, cease ye from the fight, ye kings. Sanjaya continued, then there came unto him some surgeons well trained in their science and skilled in plucking out arrows, with all becoming appliances of their profession. Beholding them, the son of Ganga said unto thy son, let these physicians, after proper respect being paid to them, be dismissed with presents of wealth. Brought to such a plight, what need have I now of physicians? I have won the most laudable and the highest state ordained in Kshatriya observances. Ye kings, lying as I do on a bed of arrows, it is not proper for me to submit now to the treatment of physicians. With these arrows on my body, ye rulers of men, should I be burnt. Hearing these words of his, thy son Duryodhana dismissed those physicians, having honored them as they deserved. Then those kings of diverse realms, beholding that constancy in virtue displayed by Bhishma of immeasurable energy, were filled with wonder. Having given a pillow to thy sire thus, those rulers of men, those mighty warriors viz., the Pandavas and the Kauravas united together, once more approached the high-souled Bhishma lying on that excellent bed of his. Reverentially saluting that high-souled one and circumambulating him thrice, and stationing guards all around for his protection, those heroes, with bodies drenched in blood, repaired for rest towards their own tents in the evening, their hearts plunged into grief and thinking of what they had seen. Then at the proper time the mighty Madhava, approaching the Pandavas, those mighty warriors cheerfully seated together and filled with joy at the fall of Bhishma, said unto Dharma's son Yudhishthira these words, by good luck victory hath been thine, O thou of Kuru's race. By good luck hath Bhishma been overthrown, who is unslayable by men, and is a mighty warrior of aim incapable of being baffled. Or, perhaps, as destiny would have it, that warrior who was master of every weapon, having obtained thee for a foe that canst slay with thy eyes alone, hath been consumed by thy wrathful eye. Thus addressed by Krishna, King Yudhishthira the just replied unto Janardana, saying, through thy grace is victory, through thy wrath is defeat. Thou art dispeller of the fears of those that are devoted to thee. Thou art our refuge. It is not wonderful that they should have victory whom thou always protectest in battle, and in whose welfare thou art always engaged, O Kesava. Having got thee for our refuge, I do not regard anything as wonderful. Thus addressed by him, Janardana answered with a smile, O best of kings, these words can come from thee alone. Thus ends the 122nd section in the Bhishma Parva of the Bhishma Parva. Section 123, Bhishma Parva continued. Sanjaya said, after the night had passed away, O monarch, all the kings, the Pandavas and the Dhartashtra's repaired to the grandsire. Those Kshatriyas then saluted that bull of their order, that foremost one among the Kurus, that hero lying on a hero's bed, and stood in his presence. Maidens by thousands, having repaired to that place, gently showered over Santanu's sun-powdered sandalwood and fried paddy and garlands of flowers. And women and old men and children, and ordinary spectators all approached Santanu's son like creatures of the world, desirous of beholding the sun. And trumpets by hundreds and thousands, and actors and mimes, and skilled mechanics also came to the aged Kuru grandsire. And ceasing to fight, putting aside their coats of mail and laying aside their weapons, the Kurus and the Pandavas united together came to the invincible Devavrata, that chastiser of force. And they were assembled together as in days of old, and cheerfully addressed one another according to their respective ages. And that conclave full of Bharata kings by hundreds and adorned with Bhishma, looked beautiful and blazing like a conclave of the gods in heaven. And that conclave of kings engaged in honoring the son of Ganga looked as beautiful as the conclave of the celestials engaged in adorning their lord, viz., the grandsire Brahman. Bhishma, however, O bull of Bharata's race, suppressing his agonies with fortitude, though burning with the arrows still sticking to his body, was sighing like a snake. His body, burning with those arrows and himself nearly deprived of his senses in consequence of his weapon wounds, Bhishma cast his eyes on those kings and asked for water. Then those Kshatriyas, O king, brought thither excellent viands and several vessels of cold water. Beholding that water brought for him, Santanu's son said, I cannot, O sire, now use any article of human enjoyment. I am removed from the pale of humanity. I am lying on a bed of arrows. I am staying here, expecting only the return of the moon and the sun. Having spoken these words and thereby rebuked those kings, O Bharata, he said, I wish to see Arjuna. The mighty armed Arjuna then came there and reverentially saluting the grandsire stood with joined hands, and said, What shall I do? Beholding then that son of Pandu, O monarch, thus standing before him after having offered him respectful salutations, Bhishma of righteous soul cheerfully addressed Dhananjaya saying, Covered all over with thy shafts, my body is burning greatly. All the vital parts of my body are in agony. My mouth is dry. Staying as I am with body afflicted with agony, give me water, O Arjuna. Thou art a great bowman. Thou art capable of giving me water duly. The valiant Arjuna then saying, So be it, mounted on his car, and striking his gandiva with force, began to stretch it. Hearing the twang of his bow and the slap of his palms which resembled the roar of the thunder, the troops and the kings were all inspired with fear. Then that foremost of warriors, mounted on his car, circumambulated that prostrate chief of the Bharatas, that foremost of all wielders of weapons. Aiming then a blazing arrow, after having inspired it with mantras and identified it with the Pajanya weapon, in the very sight of the entire army, the son of Pandu, viz. Pata pierced the earth a little to the south of where Bhishma lay. Then there arose a jet of water that was pure and auspicious and cool, and that resembling the nectar itself, was of celestial scent and taste. And with that cool jet of water Pata gratified Bhishma, that bull among the Kurus, of godlike deeds and prowess. And at that feat of Pata, who resembled Sakra himself in his acts, all those rulers of earth were filled with great wonder. And beholding that feat of Vibhatsu implying superhuman prowess, the Kurus trembled like kin afflicted with cold. And from wonder all the kings there present waved their garments in the air. And loud was the blare of conches and the beat of drums that were then heard all over the field. And Santanu's son, his thirst quenched, then addressed Jishnu, O monarch, and said, applauding him highly in the presence of all those kings, these words, viz. O thou of mighty arms, this is not wonderful in thee, O son of Kuru's race. O thou of immeasurable effulgence, even Narada spoke of thee as an ancient rishi. Indeed, with Vasudeva as thy ally, thou wilt achieve many mighty feats which the chief of the celestials himself, with all the gods of a certainty, will not venture to achieve. They that have knowledge of such things know thee to be the destroyer of the whole Kshatriya race. Thou art the one bowman among the bowmen of the world. Thou art the foremost among men. As human beings are, in this world, foremost of all creatures, as Gadura is the foremost of all winged creatures, as the ocean is the foremost among all receptacles of water and the cow among all quadrupeds, as the sun is the foremost amongst all luminous bodies and Himavat among all mountains, as the Brahmana is the foremost among all castes, art thou the foremost of all bowmen. Dhritarashtra's son Duryodhana listened not to the words repeatedly spoken by me, and Vidura and Drona and Rama and Janardana, and also by Sanjaya. Reft of his senses like unto an idiot, Duryodhana placed no reliance on those utterances. Past all instructions, he will certainly have to lie down forever, overwhelmed by the might of Bhima. Hearing these words of his, the Kuru king Duryodhana became of cheerless heart. Eyeing him, Santanu's son said, Listen, king. Abandon thy wrath. Thou hast seen, O Duryodhana, how the intelligent Partha created that jet of cool and nectar-scented water. There is none else in this world capable of achieving such feat. The weapons appertaining to Agni, Varuna, Soma, Vayu, and Vishnu, as also those appertaining to Indra, Pasupati and Paramesti, and those of Prajapati, Datri, Tashtri, Savitri and Vivaswat, all these are known to Dhananjaya alone in this world of men. Krishna, the son of Devaki, also knoweth them. But there is none else here that knoweth them. This son of Pandu, O sire, is incapable of being defeated in battle by even the gods and the asuras together. The feats of this high-souled one are superhuman. With that truthful hero, that ornament of battle, that warrior accomplished in fight, let peace, O king, be soon made. As long as the mighty armed Krishna is not possessed by wrath, O chief of the Kurus, it is fit, O sire, that peace should be made with the heroic Parthas. As long as this remnant of thy brothers is not slain, let peace, O monarch, be made. As long as Yudhishthira, with eyes burning in wrath, doth not consume thy troops in battle, let peace, O sire, be made. As long as Nakula, and Sahadeva, and Bhimasena, the sons of Pandu, do not, O monarch, exterminate thy army, it seems to me that friendly relations should be restored between thee and the heroic Pandavas. Let this battle end with my death, O sire. Make peace with the Pandavas. Let these words that are uttered to thee by me be acceptable to thee, O sinless one. Even this is what I regard to be beneficial both for thyself and the race itself of Kuru. Abandoning thy wrath, let peace be made with Parthas. What Falguni hath already done is sufficient. Let friendly relations be restored with the death of Bhishma. Let this remnant of warriors live. Relent, O king. Let half the kingdom be given to the Pandavas. Let King Yudhishthira the just go to Indraprasha. O chief of the Kurus, do not achieve a sinful notoriety among the kings of the earth by incurring the reproach of meanness, becoming fomenter of intestine dissensions. Let peace come to all with my death. Let these rulers of earth cheerfully mix with one another. Let sire get back the son, let sister's son get back the maternal uncle. If from want of understanding and possessed by folly thou dost not hearken to those timely words of mine, thou wilt have to repent greatly. What I say is true. Therefore desist even now. Having from affection said these words unto Duryodhana in the midst of the kings, the son of the ocean-going Ganga became silent. Though his vital limbs were burning with the arrow wounds, yet prevailing over his agonies he applied himself to yoga. Sanjaya continued, having heard these beneficial and peaceful words fraught with both virtue and profit, thy son however accepted them not, like a dying man refusing medicine. Thus ends the 123rd section in the Bhishma Parva of the Bhishma Parva. Section 124, Bhishma Parva continued. Sanjaya said, after Santanu's son Bhishma, O monarch, had become silent, all those rulers of earth there present then returned to their respective quarters. Hearing of Bhishma's slaughter, that bull among men Vis, Radha's son Karna, partially inspired with fear quickly came there. He beheld that illustrious hero lying on his bed of reeds. Then Vrishakarna, endued with great glory, with voice choked in tears, approaching that hero lying with eyes closed fell at his feet. And he said, O chief of the Kurus, I am Radha's son, who while before thy eyes was everywhere looked upon by thee with hate. Hearing these words, the aged chief of the Kurus Vis, the son of Ganga, whose eyes were covered with film, slowly raising his eyelids, and causing the guards to be removed and seeing the place deserted by all, embraced Karna with one arm like a sire embracing his son, and said these words with great affection, Come, come. Thou art an opponent of mine who always challengest comparison with me. If thou hadst not come to me, without doubt it would not have been well with thee. Thou art Kunti's, not Radha's. Nor is Adhiratha thy father. O thou of mighty arms, I heard all this about thee from Narada as also from Krishna-Dwaipayana. Without doubt all this is true. I tell thee truly, O son, that I bear thee no malice. It was only for abating thy energy that I used to say such harsh words to thee. O thou of excellent voice, without any reason thou speakest ill of all the Pandavas. Sinfully didst thou come into the world. It is for this that thy heart hath been such. Through pride, and owning also to thy companionship with the low, thy heart hateth even persons of merit. It is for this that I spoke such harsh words about thee in the Kuru camp. I know thy prowess in battle, which can with difficulty be borne on earth by force. I know also thy regard for Brahmanas, thy courage and thy great attachment to almsgiving. O thou that resemblest a very god, amongst men there is none like thee. For fear of intestine dissensions I always spoke harsh words about thee. In bowmanship, in aiming weapon, in lightness of hand and in strength of weapons, thou art equal to Falguni himself, or the high-souled Krishna. O Karna, proceeding to the city of Kasi alone with thy bow, thou hadst crushed the kings in battle for procuring a bride for the Kuru king. The mighty and invincible King Jasanda also, ever boastful of his prowess in battle, could not become thy match in fight. Thou art devoted to Brahmanas, thou always fightest fairly. In energy and strength thou art equal to a child of the celestials and certainly much superior to men. The wrath I cherished against thee is gone. Destiny is incapable of being avoided by exertion. O slayer of foes, the heroic sons of Pandu are thy uterine brothers. If thou wishest to do what is agreeable to me, unite with them, O thou of mighty arms. Son of Surya, let these hostilities end with me. Let all the kings of earth be today freed from danger. Karna said, I know this, O thou of mighty arms. All this without doubt is as thou sayest. As thou tellest me, O Bhishma, I am Kunti's son and not the son of Sutha. I was however abandoned by Kunti, and I have been reared by Sutha. Having so long enjoyed the wealth of Duryodhana, I dare not falsify it now. Like Vasudeva's son, who is firmly resolved for the sake of the Pandavas, I also, O thou that makest profuse presents to Brahmanas, am prepared to cast away my possession, my body itself, my children and my wife for Duryodhana's sake. Death from disease, O thou of Kuru's race, doth not become a Kshatriya. Relying upon Suyodhana, I have always offended the Pandavas. This affair is destined to take its course. It is incapable of being prevented. Who was there that would venture to overcome destiny by exertion? Various omens indicating the destruction of the earth, O grandsire, were noted by thee and declared in the assembly. It is well known to me that the son of Pandu and Vasudeva are incapable of being conquered by other men. Even with them we venture to fight. I will vanquish the son of Pandu in battle. Even this is my firm resolve. I am not capable of casting off this fierce animosity that I cherish against the Pandavas. With a cheerful heart and keeping the duties of my order before my eye, I will contend against Dhananjaya. Firmly resolved that I am on battle, grant me thy permission, O hero. I will fight. Even this is my wish. It behoveth thee to forgive me also any harsh words that I may have at any time uttered against thee, or any act that I may have done against thee from anger or inconsiderateness. Bhishma said, if indeed thou art unable to cast off this fierce animosity, I permit thee, O Karna. Fight, moved by the desire of heaven. Without anger and without vindictiveness, serve thou the king according to thy power and according to thy courage, and observant of the conduct of the righteous. Have then my permission, O Karna, obtain thou that which thou seekest. Through Dhananjaya thou wilt obtain all those regions hereafter which are capable of being had by fulfilling the duties of a Kshatriya. Freed from pride, and relying on thy own might and energy, engage in battle, since a Kshatriya cannot have a source of greater happiness than a righteous battle. For a long while I made great efforts for bringing about peace, but I succeeded not, O Karna, in the task. Truly do I say this unto thee. Sanjaya continued, after the son of Ganga had said this, Radha's son Karna, having saluted Bhishma and obtained his forgiveness, got up on his car and proceeded towards the quarters of thy son. Thus ends the 124th section in the Bhishma Parva of the Bhishma Parva. Thus ends the Bhishma Parva. Thus ends Volume 5 of the Mahabharata of Krishna-Dwaipayana Vyasa. If you enjoyed this audiobook, please like and subscribe to be notified of when new audiobooks are uploaded. Thank you for listening and learning. Shanti.